Hi friends, Auntie Cuckoo here. Today I'm sharing two different DIYs with you. First off, how to turn any bunny into that very popular concrete look, and a few different finishes for distressing some of your terracotta pots. Let's start off with our bunnies. Here I have three that I've picked up from different dollar stores and thrift stores. Two of them were actually in my garden. Once I cleaned them up, I used a little bit of paint and some sand to transform them into the concrete look. I picked up some Oops paint for $2 at Home Depot. I also had some craft paint on hand, and you can actually buy different mediums and specialty paints that already have that concrete look, but for this project, we're gonna make our own. To do that, I added some white paint to lighten up the color of my gray Oops paint, mixing it in really well, and then adding a little bit of sand that we had on hand, being sure just to add a little at a time, slowly, about a tablespoon or two, until I got the consistency I was happy with. Then just brush it on your dry bunny. A larger, coarse bristle brush like this one from the Dollar Tree worked great for transferring the sand. Once your bunnies have fully dried, it's time to add the details. So for this, I did 3 different bunnies with 3 different consistencies, mixing paint and water. And as you can see, for our flat bunny, I definitely had more paint on the brush. I used a 50-50 water paint mix, and I was nervous at first, but this one actually turned out to be my favorite. This one is basically just watered down paint that was left in the bowl and definitely turned out the darkest. So you'll have to play around with your water and white paint. Make sure you get it in all the nooks and crannies, all the crevices that you can to give it that cement look. I'm super happy with how all my bunnies turned out. They all have a slightly different look to them. Now on to refinishing and faux treating some of our terracotta pots from the Dollar Tree and some saucers from the thrift store. First up, we'll go for that cement finish. For this one, I used some medium gray craft paint by Craftsmart. I'll link the color down below. It's from Michael's. I found it was the perfect color. Once my pots were dry, I used a little bit of white craft paint in certain areas to give it that concrete detail. If you end up with a bit too much detail, just use a damp cloth to wipe it off. Now on to something I've gotten a lot of questions about. After my home tour for spring, a lot of you asked how I refinished my green pots, so I'm going to walk you through that process as well. For my taste, I like things rustic and not perfect, so I'm blending some ivory and some sage green paint. Again, I'll link them down below. Once they were dry, I went ahead and added just a little bit of brown paint to my brush, giving them a good little dry brush for some detail. I'm also going to do some sanding on them, which we'll see in this third finish. For this one, I used some Vaseline in areas I wanted to show some wear and tear on my pots before giving them a quick coat, blending a vanilla color with some brown. Once your pot has fully dried, go ahead and take a dry cloth and rub off the areas where you placed your Vaseline. This will give it a very aged, rustic look. To make them even more rustic, I took my Dollar Tree sanding block for my ivory and green pot, giving them a quick sand. I'm really happy with how my little pots turned out. I especially like the concrete and the green. I love how just adding that little bit of brown makes that green the perfect color. And now I guess it's time to decorate for Easter. As many of you know, I've already posted a spring home decor tour, and now I've got the itch to add all my new concrete bunnies and my new painted pots to my home decor. I hope you all enjoyed seeing how I got that concrete look on some of my thrifted items and how I aged some of my little pots from the Dollar Tree. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back very soon in the next video.